Welcome back to LeapTalk English, where real conversations help your English grow naturally. I'm Mary.
And I'm Albert. And Mary, I have a confession to make before we start today.
Oh, this is already interesting. Go ahead.
Last night, I picked up my phone to check one thing, one small thing. And 45 minutes later, I was watching a video about a man who teaches his cat to paint.
Albert, the cat painting videos are genuinely impressive, though.
They really are, but that is not the point. The point is, I didn't even enjoy the 45 minutes. I just felt sort of empty afterwards, like I had eaten a lot of food that had no nutrition in it.
That is actually the perfect description of how a lot of people feel after scrolling. Full, but somehow still hungry.
Exactly. And that feeling, that strange emptiness after spending time online, is exactly what we are talking about today.
Because social media is one of the biggest conversations happening in the world right now. And not just about how much time people spend on it, but about what it is actually doing to how people feel about themselves and their lives.
Because the research is becoming very clear, and the personal experience of millions of people is even clearer. Social media often makes people feel worse, and yet they keep going back.
And understanding why, that is where things get really fascinating.
So today we are asking, why does something that is supposed to connect us so often leave us feeling more anxious, more inadequate, and more disconnected than before?
As always, we're doing this in clear, natural B2 level English, so just relax, follow the conversation, and let your English grow naturally as you listen.
And stay with us until the end for our word tour, where we slow down and explain the most useful words and phrases from today's conversation.
And before we begin, we would love to hear from you. How do you feel after spending time on social media? Energized? Empty? Anxious? Leave a comment. We genuinely want to know. All right, let's get into it.
So, Albert, I think the first thing worth understanding is why social media feels so good in the moment, even when it makes us feel worse overall.
Right, because if it only felt bad, people would just stop. The fact that people keep going back tells us something important about how it works.
And the answer goes right into the brain, specifically dopamine.
Dopamine is the brain's reward chemical. It is released when something good happens or when something good might happen.
And that second part is the key, when something good might happen. Because social media is built on uncertainty. You open the app and you don't know what you're going to find. Maybe something funny, maybe something interesting, maybe a notification that someone liked your post, maybe nothing.
And that unpredictability is actually more addictive than a guaranteed reward.
Which sounds strange, but it is exactly how slot machines work. You don't win every time, but you might win this time. And that possibility keeps people pulling the lever.
Or, in this case, pulling down to refresh the feed.
Over and over, because the brain is chasing that maybe.
And the people who design these apps know this. They have studied it very carefully. Every small design choice, the infinite scroll, the notification sound, the number of likes, is intentionally built to keep your brain in that loop.
Which means this is not a willpower problem. This is a design problem. These apps are engineered to be difficult to put down.
And understanding that is actually quite freeing, because it means if you struggle to put your phone down, you're not weak. You're human, and you're up against something that was specifically designed to capture and hold human attention.
And once it has that attention, what does it do with it?
That is where the damage often begins, because social media doesn't just show you content, it shows you a very specific kind of content.
The best moments, the highlight reel, the most attractive version of people's lives.
The beautiful holiday, the perfect relationship photo, the impressive career announcement, the body that looks effortless, the life that seems completely together.
And your brain, without you even realizing it, starts comparing automatically, constantly.
This is called social comparison, and it is one of the most natural things human brains do. We are wired to look at other people and measure ourselves against them.
In small communities throughout most of human history, this was actually useful. You compared yourself to the people around you and got a realistic sense of where you stood.
But social media has completely broken that mechanism, because now you're not comparing yourself to the people around you.
You're comparing yourself to millions of people simultaneously, and not their real lives, their best moments. their most curated, filtered, edited moments.
And no real life can compete with that.
Nobody's real Tuesday morning looks like someone's holiday photo from Bali.
Nobody's real relationship is as consistently romantic as the one that gets posted online.
Nobody's real body looks the same in real life as it does in a perfectly lit, carefully angled photograph.
But the brain doesn't always make that distinction. It sees the image, it compares, and it concludes, my life is less. I am less.
And that quiet conclusion, repeated hundreds of times a day, takes a real toll on how people feel about themselves.
And there's another layer to this that people rarely talk about, the performance anxiety of having your own life on social media.
Yes, because it's not just about consuming other people's content. Many people are also producing content, posting their own life, and waiting to see how people respond. How many likes, how many views, how many comments.
And that waiting, even if it's unconscious, creates a low-level anxiety that follows people through their day.
You post something, and part of your brain is always running in the background, checking, wondering, comparing.
Did people like it? Did enough people like it? Why did that person not respond? Does that mean something?
And that background anxiety is exhausting, even when people don't fully notice it.
Because it means your sense of how you feel about yourself is now partly tied to external metrics, numbers, reactions from people you may barely know.
And that is a very unstable foundation for self-worth.
Very unstable, because numbers go up and numbers go down. And if your emotional state follows those numbers, you're on a constant roller coaster without ever choosing to get on one.
So what actually helps? Because I don't think the answer is simply delete everything and disappear from the internet.
Right. For most people, that's not realistic. And honestly, social media does have real benefits. Connection, information, community, creativity. Those things are real.
The goal is not elimination. The goal is intention.
Meaning using social media deliberately, on your terms, rather than letting it use you.
And I think the first practical step is this. Notice how you feel after you use it, not during, after.
Because during, the dopamine loop keeps things feeling okay, but after, when you put the phone down, how do you actually feel?
Lighter, heavier, inspired, deflated, energized, drained.
And that honest answer tells you something important about how that particular use of social media is affecting you.
Because not all social media use feels the same. Watching someone teach a skill, reading something that genuinely makes you think, connecting with a friend you actually care about.
Those can feel nourishing, but mindlessly scrolling through a feed of strangers' perfect moments at midnight when you're already tired?
That almost never feels good afterwards.
So start paying attention to the difference and slowly, deliberately, do more of what leaves you feeling better and less of what doesn't.
The second thing that helps is creating small friction, making it slightly harder to pick up the phone automatically.
Because a lot of social media use isn't even a decision, it's a reflex. The phone is there, the hand reaches for it, the app opens before the brain has even made a choice.
So if you put the phone in another room or move the apps off the home screen or set a specific time when you check, just that small increase in effort breaks the automatic loop.
And gives you back the moment of choice that the design of these apps is trying to remove.
And the third, and this one I think is the most important, is to feed yourself with real connection alongside the digital kind.
Because social media can never replace the feeling of being genuinely seen by someone who knows you, a real conversation, a shared meal, a walk with someone who makes you laugh.
Those things nourish something that no amount of scrolling can reach.
And when you have enough of that real nourishment, the pull of the phone gets a little weaker. Not completely, but a little.
And a little is always worth something.
It really is. Okay, let's slow down and go into our word tour.
Let's do it.
First word, dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical in the brain that creates feelings of pleasure and reward. It motivates people to repeat behaviors that feel good.
For example, social media triggers dopamine releases that keep people coming back for more. Or, the brain releases dopamine not just when something good happens, but when something good might happen. Repeat after us. Dopamine.
Dopamine.
Next, addictive. Something that is addictive makes people want to keep doing it, even when it is harmful or not in their best interest.
For example, the design of social media apps is intentionally addictive. Or, the unpredictability of the feed makes scrolling more addictive than people realize. Repeat. Addictive.
Addictive. Next, social comparison. Social comparison is the natural human habit of measuring yourself against other people to evaluate your own worth or situation.
For example, constant social comparison on social media can seriously damage self-esteem. Or, social comparison is natural, but social media makes it much more intense than before. Repeat. Social comparison.
Social comparison. Next, curated. Something that is curated has been carefully selected and arranged to create a specific impression, usually the best possible one.
For example, what people post online is a curated version of their life, not the full reality. Or, comparing your real life to someone else's curated highlights is always unfair. Repeat. Curated.
Curated. Next, metrics. Metrics are measurements or numbers used to track and evaluate something.
For example, tying your self-worth to social media metrics like likes and followers is emotionally dangerous. Or, she decided to stop checking the metrics on her posts every hour. Repeat. Metrics.
Metrics. Next, intention. When you do something with intention, it means you do it deliberately and thoughtfully with a clear purpose, rather than automatically or out of habit.
For example, using social media with intention means deciding when and how you use it, rather than just reaching for it automatically. Or, living with intention means making conscious choices about how you spend your time and energy. Repeat. Intention.
Intention. And finally, friction. In psychology and behavior design, friction means any small obstacle or extra step that slows down an automatic behavior and gives you a moment to make a real choice.
For example, putting your phone in another room creates friction that helps reduce mindless scrolling. Or, adding a little friction between you and a bad habit can make a surprisingly big difference. Repeat. Friction.
Friction. And those were today's Word Tour words and phrases.
Together, they capture everything we explored today: how social media works on our brains, why comparison hurts us, and how to take back a little more control over how we spend our attention.
And remember, your attention is one of the most valuable things you have. How you spend it shapes how you feel every single day.
So spend it a little more carefully, a little more intentionally, and a little more on things that actually nourish you.
This is Albert.
And this is Mary. Thank you so much for listening to LeapTalk English. We will see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.